Yo. Mic check. Mic check. Yo. Give me a mic check.
Yo.
This is Wild Perspectives, episode 68. Got a special guest today to my right. William.
What's up? Thank you for having me, man.
Vaughn here.
Yes, sir.
You know how it is.
Rome, of course. How y'all feeling?
Feel great. My album out. Open road. Stream everywhere. So, y'all go get that. But, how about you? How about y'all?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Alright.
I'm good. You know, same old merch come like July 11. So, expect that to come out soon.
Rep us. We got some shirts for y'all. We're gonna keep clothing coming. So,
Yes, sir.
that's what we doing. Well, we're gonna get straight to it.
Hey, man.
Tell me what you do.
All right. My name is Will Robinson. I went to school with these fellas, man. They cool, man. I always wanted to be cool like these guys, man. So I'm back in Jacksonville. Went to school, but what I do, I'm a young preacher. They call it in the church circle. They call it a boy preacher. I've been preaching since I was 13 years old. Born and raised in the church, and went to Cookman. When I graduated 13. When y'all graduated?
14.
15?
14.
14?
Yeah.
So we got 13, 14, 15 in the house. Wolfson. I graduated Wolfson High School 2013, went to Cookman, studied religion. And when these guys start asking more questions, I guess I'll get into everything else. So now, currently I'm a minister, I'm a preacher, you know, that's what I do. So
what made you decide that was your path to go down? I mean, you used to preach in the hallways.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I come into school like, we finna get a word, my boy.
Yeah, so what I tell people, man, really, it's not as much of a decision as it is a compulsion or a calling. You know, it's not something I tell the young guys that I mentor that, you know, that try to come into this thing. It ain't something you decide to do. And I say this because I just joked a few minutes ago, said I've always had that desire, you know, to want to be cool, and I've kind of found that balance between, because I've been doing it for some years now. But man, once you call to this thing, it's inevitable. You can't, you can't
run from it.
You can't just wake up one morning and say, Doc, I'm finna start preaching. You know, I'm finna, because I found myself trying to run away from it sometimes. I went to a black college. You know how many girls on the black college?
I was gonna say, I don't know how you like.
You know how much.
We gonna talk today. We got a lot to talk about. We're gonna get into it.
And so to answer your question directly, it's not something I decided to do. And so what I decided to do was yield to the call. So once I knew that it was something that I was created and born to do, it was literally a Jeremiah 29:11 experience. You know, for God says, I know the thoughts that I think towards you. I know the plans that I have for your life, and to set you out to be a speaker and a prophet to the nations. And eventually, I just had to yield to that, you know, and find my way, and find how I saw life through that, and how I was gonna do it.
Yo, well, for me to see you, young, you was preaching. That's a confidence level. Unashamed, because it's a lot of people that might want to go your path or do that path, but once they get in high school and they get around the other kids, you kind of scared to really show, because you
might
know
rank on you.
Yeah, you get clown.
Time,
I mean, so what? How you found that confidence to just go ahead and just do it, or like you said, it just was embedded in you to do it?
To be honest, bro, I was just me, and I like my Wolfson experience because a lot of my friends, they let me be me. You know, you gotta, and I didn't even know that it was, like I said, I'm just church. I don't know it.
Sometimes it's church.
You just grew up in.
So when I got to high school, man, y'all know I used to wear suits, and
you gave me that vibe the minute I saw you.
Yeah. So
seriously.
Yeah. So
you were hot.
I just really, I was just me, and there were times where I was like, because people did say stuff about it. I did get ranked on a couple of times. But for the most part, everybody knew that was Will.
Yeah.
And they let me be me. And I think another thing was, I wasn't overbearing. I wasn't, very, really judgmental on people and stuff like that. And so it was just me. So it wasn't like a confidence issue. I was just literally being me.
Yeah. We got okay. So they say you weren't overbearing.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to tell them. Don't be overbearing because
a
lot of them are overbearing.
Yeah.
You should be doing this.
should
Live like
judging,
this.
Yeah.
Can't be doing this.
And that's how a lot of people stay away from the church.
Yeah.
Like, nah, it's just judgmental. So, like you never was overbearing. So you definitely need more.
Yeah.
Cause it's yeah. So
yeah. What I'll say about that, man, my life has been I don't think we'll have enough time on this segment to talk about it.
Right.
But going this path is it's an isolated journey.
I believe that.
And I say that because I know people. I got friends. But this is a journey you have to take because it's not understood. And I say that as a segue to say this is at a young age, I've made mistakes. I've done crazy stuff, but I've made mistakes. But one thing I've always understood is that I grew up in an old school church. So like I have a broad spectrum of how I view church. So I say I was raised by my great grandma. So I can go to church, I can do the hand clapping, foot stomping stuff. Yeah. And then, it's been times where, I've had to go to an arena and preach and I wear what I got on now. I'll bring out my good Nikes, I'll bring out, my pants. And so I have a broad spectrum of church. Mm-hmm. I got some suits, I can put on a bad suit.
Piece.
You see what I'm saying? And then, I can come like this Sunday morning. And I've always understood that.
You had a crease in it.
That's the truth. I've always understood that. Yeah. You have to be able to meet people where they are. Mm-hmm. And the thing I like about Jesus, when you think about Christianity, that word Christianity, the root word is Christ. The word Christianity means to be Christ-like. And a lot of times in modern day church, we've made Christianity what it really isn't. It says somewhere in the Bible, it says that the common man heard him gladly. Who is the common man? The common man is not the people in church. The common man is the person you interact or you come have an encounter with every day. How can you proselytize or evangelize to them without stuffing it down their throat or sticking it? People aren't going to be able to hear you out if you can't relate to them in any way.
I'm ready to pull up to your sermon already. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and so, man, even as a young man, I understood that because, as a young I had to deal with those, even more so than people who wasn't in church. I had to deal with those older preachers, and a lot of them tried to make me suppress things that were natural. And as a preacher, man, I tell young guys, man, chase girls. And I think this is the thing that's wrong with the church. Chasing girls ain't a sin. And this is just one instance that I'm using. Chasing girls ain't a sin. Having sex outside of marriage is.
Gotcha.
Come on,
gotcha.
Man. You hit it, Dave.
Gotcha.
So you have to understand, and as a young man, I've went through a lot of that stuff, man. So I tell man, Chase, it is not. Don't let people suppress the natural instinct. In Genesis 1:28, God says, "I'm giving you man and woman, so that you can subdue the earth, have dominion, and multiply." How we gonna multiply? We gotta do. You know what we gotta do?
Yeah.
But there's a way to do it. So, and I think the generations prior, they've been so caught up in their tradition that they weren't willing to relinquish that to understand where the next generations were coming. And so for me, that as a young person, that's one of the benefits and the blessings of being a young preacher. And one of the curses is that I had to go through a lot. I had to sacrifice a lot. A lot of the stuff that was fun in my eyes that I seen some of y'all doing and other people doing, I couldn't do. Not because I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you trained yourself to step away from that.
I'm gonna say something. The things that you think it's not fun. We're going out there. It ain't fun like people.
That's true.
And now I know that because not publicly, I've had some public moments, but privately I've done some things I was like, why in the world was I even
when you get older?
Why in the world was I even trying to?
I'd rather be home.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, bro.
So I feel you on that.
So I had a question. There's a lot of questions I got.
Yeah, I got so many questions for you.
I don't know if I want to just All right,
Shoot
so how do you feel about religion? Do you think the different Catholics, Christianity, you got these different? I believe everything is one. It's everybody believes in God, but I think you can correct me. I believe different religions don't believe in Jesus, or they have they have like Muslim. So what do you think religion is? Do they use that to kind of separate our community, or is it? Or you believe in all the religions and everybody else should have a different point of view?
That's a loaded question, and I'm gonna answer it as best I can, without trying to be long winded. And y'all can just jump in at any time,
You could.
But let me preface that question by saying this. There was a quote, I can't remember. It was either one of the philosophical fathers or one of the patristic fathers. They said something like, and I'm just, this is the quote. So if you're watching, I may have it wrong, but it goes along this line. Basically saying, a wise man understands that he knows nothing. A wise man really understands. It's a foolish man who thinks that he knows everything. And I think we have to approach everything from that perspective. And I say that to say that, yes, I studied this, but there's so much more, that I have to learn. So I don't know everything about religion. I don't have a monopoly on what it means to be a Christian. I don't have and I think that once people understand that preachers or that ministers that we're going through this journey too, that we just like you see what I'm saying? But we just have that call. They'll understand our journey. So I say that to say, I'm gonna answer your question.
Oh, you're good.
But there are some particulars that I just don't know. I'm still a man, still evolving, still growing in my faith as well. But to answer your question, there is what we know as theology and religion. So when we think about religion, religion is a huge part of our society. It is how people live. People live their life on a daily basis based on religion. And some religions are deified. Some religions are what they called polytheistic, meaning more than one God. Christianity is monotheism. The prefix mono meaning one, which is one God. So I'll say this. All religions, I think for the most part, have the same moral code. So when you think about religion, and when I say the same moral code, I mean that one moral code, which is basically do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you look at the Buddhist, if you look at the Christians, if you look at the Muslims, all religions have the same or close to the same moral or ethical boundary, which means how are you toward other people, even Christianity. And the thing that blows my mind with Christians is that, in particular, and I'll talk about Christianity more because that's what I profess, is that we claim to serve and love a God whom we've never seen. We've never seen. I don't care how deep people try to be. Yeah. Oh, I seen God. God be talking to me, and that's fine. I believe that God speaks to our spirit, man. But how can you claim to love a God whom you've never seen, but you don't like the person that's standing right next to your left or your right? You see these people. I see y'all every day. Wow. You see what I'm saying? But I don't like you. I'm beefing with you. You know what I'm saying? But you believe in somebody who you've never, doesn't make him less real. But the thing is, the moral code for if you look at every religion, the moral code is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. How do you treat people that you come into everyday contact with? So when we think of religion, that's the foundation of the moral code. Now the difference is you go to theology and doctrine and dogma. I'll give a brief explanation on that. Theology is a word, and this is kind of what I studied in college, and I'm going into my master's degree starting in August, and this is kind of what I'm studying. The word theology is a combination of two Greek words, which is a combination of one word. Y'all tell me if I'm getting too intricate or something like that. And I'll try to really break it down. I'm trying to answer the question.
Everybody need to hear this.
Yes. Go ahead.
So theology, and I'm talking about now the difference between just all religion, and now, getting into those, to the more spiritual religions, the deified religions like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So you have theology. It's a breakdown between two words in the Greek, theos and logos. Theos meaning God. So whenever you see that word in the Greek, theos, it generally means God. Then you have the word ology. And then whenever you see the word ology, it means logos in the Greek. Logos means a word or the study of. So when you see psychology, the study of the mind, philosophy, the study of the mind, theology, which is now the study of God. Okay, it's the word of God. So what theology does, theology says, how do we see God? How do we understand God? From your context, your perspective, how do you see your God? Now, different religions have different theologies. So, when you ask a question, about religion, under this huge umbrella, you got all of these religions. So you got Judaism, you got Christianity, you got Islam, okay? But now, when you look at these religions that have deities meaning a transcendent God that you can't see, God that is above us, okay? You have these transcendent God. What is your theology? What is your doctrine? What are the teachings of that religion? So now when you get to the Catholic Church, when you get to the Protestant Reformation, okay, when you get to Islam, all of those things, they have different theologies, okay? So they may have the same moral code. All religions, live by the same. Religion is intended to bring out the good in people. Even though throughout the history of time, we've seen religion bring out the worst in people. But it's intended to bring out the worst in people. I mean, to bring out the best in people. But when you get down to the particulars of, denominations of religion like the Catholic Church, they believe in, the deifying of Mary, and because she was the mother of Jesus. In the Protestant Reformation, we don't believe that. We believe that God used her as a conduit or a vessel, So once you start getting down to the particulars, that's theology. How do you see God? And doctrine means the teaching, and a lot of these words that we use in religious sector, they're also used in the secular sector. Like the word doctrine. Doctrine means the teaching of. Okay? Yeah. And you have like the Truman Doctrine. Harry S. Truman was one of the presidents, and they came out with this piece of legislation. I think it's called a bill that was called the Truman Doctrine, which means his understanding or his teachings on a particular perspective that he was trying to yield for the country. You see what I'm saying? Now, the thing is dogma. Dogma is just, we have to be able to separate the difference between dogma and doctrine. Dogma is the tradition, what we was talking about earlier on people. So I grew up Pentecostal. They didn't believe in the women.
Baptist or Baptist and Pentecostal different?
Baptist and Pentecostal are different.
Okay.
Pentecostal put more emphasis on the Holy Spirit, which is the pneumatology.
Do y'all go on Saturdays?
No, that's Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay.
That's Seventh-day Adventist. Okay. And but they're still a part of the Protestant Reformation. Okay. So dogma is, the people who get so caught up in tradition that they miss the spirituality of it. Okay. So you can't wear makeup, or that young man don't need to be sitting on the front row because of the way his hair is done.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Or because he got on Nikes and not a suit. That's dogma. And I think in religion, and in these deified religions, whether you choose to be Islamic, a Jew, a part of Judaism, Christianity, because all of those are interwoven. They're all branched off from each other. Yeah. Judaism being the oldest. Too many of us have made church this dogmatic place instead of a doctrinal place. Dogmatic in terms of you so worried about how I look existentially that you're not trying to affect me internally. You're not trying to put the proper teachings and doctrine into me to help me get to where I'm supposed to be. You're so dogmatic. You're so caught up on the way it was done when you grew up, or the way it should be done, the way it should look. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's dogma. And I think people get so caught up in dogma that they miss trying to put the proper doctrine into people. So That's kind of the difference. I can go into a lot more, but that's kind of the overall.
And speaking of that,
base
church, how do you feel about people slandering the church about they just want to take your money, and how you feel about that?
I love that question.
Now, this is my view on it. I do believe that 10%. I know you get 10% for your tithes, like a check you get 10%, but it's not really, you're not paying it towards the preacher, it's really towards God, to show him that you gave me the ability to make money, so I'm gonna give you.
Somebody said it was like showing God, but he don't. What is he going? He's not gonna take the money like that. People say that.
Yeah, I get that, but I guess it's more so of a not terrible thing, but you're just honoring your money to him. That's what it is. Yeah.
Let me say first.
Gotcha.
That's the camera right there first.
That's it.
I let people know that I'm not perfect, but I am 100%. I profess, because I think too many times my thing is people criticize stuff that they've never been a part of. It's kind of like being a sports commentator. I receive more because I love sports. I love basketball and football. I can receive more commentary during sports, commentation. I can receive more sports commentary from people like, Shannon Sharp, just one example, who've played the sport, as opposed to those who commentate and have never played a sport. Gotcha. Not to say that makes them any less valid. They got a point. They've been covering the game. But once you're in it, it gives you a different and a deeper perspective.
He say like plays, like
yeah,
he'll go through plays.
Exactly. It gives you a different and a deeper perspective. So I said that to say I'm a proponent of the church. I was born in, and I was born in old school church where they was making me call on Jesus and all kind of stuff. But I say that to say that, as much as I talk about what the church needs to do, I love the church.
Right.
There's nothing I would rather do. At this point in my life, I'm too deep in. I proselytize, I profess, I confess Christ as my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So, back to your question, in terms of the tithe and what people think about the church,
right,
and what they say about the church. My thing is, people will talk about everything else like church, and things like that, but they're looking at it from an outside perspective. Some of the most negative comments and commentary from church come from people who have heard stories about church, but have never actually been in to see that for every bad thing that church has to offer or that the church has done to people, it has 3 other good things to that one thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would tell people that before you become judgmental and before you begin to aggrandize the church, try it out. Find you a good place. Don't give up because you go to one bad church and you have one bad experience. Don't give up on it. It's like this. When I was in college, and I'm very transparent, y'all. So I hope everybody's watching, you can handle my transparency. When I was in college, I went through a clubbing phase. Yeah. I like to go out on the weekend, but I like to go out on the weekend.
Go crazy.
So, when we went to one club and it wasn't jumping, we ain't say we finna go home. We said we gonna find one that's jumping. You see what I'm saying?
That's a good analogy.
You go to one church.
I see what you're doing.
You go to one church and you ain't go find one that's jumping for you, man. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Go find something that you can relate to, as opposed to downing it as a whole, because what you do is that you hinder other people's perspective, because we live in a day and an age, man, where
the church is important.
Church is not only important, but it's taken for granted. I don't think people know that. Do y'all know that the fastest growing, the biggest religion in the world now? Do y'all know what it is?
It's either Muslim.
It's the Islamic faith.
Yeah. Islamic. I would say
the Islamic faith has surpassed Christianity as the largest faith-based group in the world. Wow. And you know what it is? It's because I was doing research.
They don't get slandered though. When I see them, people talk about them on social media, it's always positive.
It's always positive. Yeah. It's always positive.
They're
That's
radical. They're ready to die for the cause they believe in.
Yeah.
Like they really, a lot of Christianity that I see wishy washy some. So I think
We'll
that's
go
why
on
they,
Easter.
yeah.
I think that's why they get slandered. That's my opinion.
And I think, like I said, I was doing research, and the thing is, our generation. Do you know that the generation before us, the millennial generation, we are the generation that was not required to go to church. So our parents, our parents, our grandparents, that was a church generation. Everybody went to church. You know, whether they went to church, they were raised in church. When our parents came along, it started to dwindle out. You know, they grew up in church, but left the church. Then the millennial, our generation came along. So because our parents left church, we were the first or the majority of generations of individuals in this country who was not even required to go to church.
Do you feel as though that's like a good thing or a bad thing that we have like more freedom to you choose what you want to go into?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that's better, or like you would rather like you start off in church and then you venture off?
Well, I feel like in terms of that, I think it's subjective.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it depends on the individual, because to say that, you know, you should start off in church, there are people who start off in church who grew up in church and still end up, you know,
Terrible.
you know, you're terrible or professing another faith. And vice versa. So I think that's subjective, you know, but my point was that, you know, we don't do a good job at a retention rate in terms of, you know, helping our own.
Creating a solid foundation.
You know, creating that solid foundation and keeping them in church. Because my thing is, if you look at every other group, man, I love, you know, when you think about the Jewish community, man, they're so rich. The thing is, the Jewish community, when you look at their economic structure, because their economics is a part of their religion. You know, when you think about their bar mitzvah. When you think about a bar mitzvah, which is a kind of rites of passage, when they turn 13, they have this party and they get all this money and they have to go through this rites of passage. You know, it's not only an economic thing, it's a religious thing. You know, rites of passage is a kind of, you know, a religious ceremony. So they do a lot of religious stuff. How can we make sure our children carry out our legacy and our tradition?
Yeah.
The next generation, the next generation, the next generation. And as Christians, particularly black Christians, we got to ask ourselves, how can we make sure our children, or my children, especially if we're in the church, if we're raised that way, how are we going to make sure they carry out our tradition in the sense of keep the faith and not so much, you know, be dogmatic about it and be, you know, judgmental about it. But how can we make sure you carry this tradition? And we got to continue to evolve church, man. Church has to evolve. You know, there's another statistic that for every 20 years that society progresses, the church is 15 years behind.
What do you think that is?
I think that is because we're so reluctant to change our method.
That's important.
And I say that because, like I said, you know, you have the older generation behind us. Oh, we didn't do it that way. We didn't do it that way. Duh, because you ain't have the resources we have.
Right.
You didn't have technology like we had. You didn't. This style wasn't into play. You see what I'm saying? And it's not that we're changing the message of Jesus Christ. We're changing the method.
How you going about it?
How you're going about it. That's what I'm saying, man. Thank you for that. We're going about it a totally different way. We're keeping the same message. You know,
dressing different.
That's all we're doing.
Like now, I see people going to church with jeans, like the church I attend, or so it's like you said.
We keeping the same message, just doing it in a different way. Yeah. And if you're so dogmatic to where you gotta, you know, and I heard a preacher say this, man, it blew my mind. He said, for so many years we've been doing it wrong. We got the deacons sitting on the front row, the mothers, all of them sitting on the front row. If they already saved, why they sitting on the front row? You need to have the young people on the front row. You need to have the people, you see what I'm saying? Them the people who need to be out front.
We usually sit in the back.
You see what I'm saying? And they don't have, as much of an effect. And so my goal is to change my method, man.
Right.
Like I said, I can do church with the best of them. I can sing. I know old school song. I mean, I can just do it because I was raised in that tradition.
Right. But it's
But the challenge is how are you going to take that message, wrap it in a new method, so that you can minister to the next generation.
That's a good point. That's good. So, do you feel that preachers should be able to be rich or wealthy? Because a lot of people get, like Joel Osteen, TD Jakes, get flack about how much money they have, and like you said. So, I don't have no problem with preachers being rich. I don't know if that I don't have no problem with it, but I know a lot of people out there have a lot of problems with how you feel about that.
What you think about it, Rome? I'm gonna answer your question. I just want to get your perspective.
I'm fine with. I think more so it's about how much are you giving back? You can live wealthy, all that, that's fine, but
perfect point.
What are you giving back to the community that you're receiving it from? That's all. I'm fine with it as long as that's the case.
I got a question. I'm gonna ask him. So, okay, but you don't think them preaching every week is the give back, or you talking about just giving back community, like donating and?
I would say it's got to be more than that.
Preaching.
It got to be more.
Yeah,
than that.
I agree. Okay,
You have to
impact the community.
I was just asking. I agree.
I got to be. Man, when you look at what people don't understand is the church as we know it started in the book of Acts. Acts is in the New Testament. The church was not an actual building. The church was an assembly of people.
Right.
So, as a preacher, to the point that you made, you've giving back is more than just preaching inside of a church on Sunday morning.
Definitely.
When you look at the ministry of Jesus, again, that's why we're Christians. He's the centrality of our faith. Jesus practiced this holistic type of ministry. He healed people. That's healthcare. He fed people. That's going out to feed the poor.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He counseled people. That's the psychological aspect of holistic. So ministry to me is, don't have me in church shouting on Sunday, Monday through Saturday. I'm in my house with my kids and my lights off.
Definitely.
Don't have me shouting in church on Sunday and me and my kids ain't got nothing to eat. As the preacher, where is your Jesus? Like Jesus said in Luke chapter 4, he says, for God has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So what is the ministry and the impact? Because if you're preaching, you're only living one aspect or area of the ministry that Jesus did. Jesus didn't preach. Jesus was in the community. He laid hands on people who were sick. In biblical days, they had these
straight action.
Right, straight action. They had these people called lepers. Lepers, they basically had this just foul disease. It was a skin disease. Yeah, leprosy. Yes, yeah. Jesus was out touching the lepers, man. Mm-hmm. He was out there with them. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing that I have about that's my only dilemma with the rich preacher. Now, let me say this, because I plan on being rich one day. I don't care what nobody's going to say about it. I mean, feel how you feel. The Bible said that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. Listen, man.
I love his face when he said, "Listen, I'm gonna be rich.
I'm gonna be rich." I mean, that's before I wanted to be. Before I went to school for religion, I was going to school for business, man. I wanted to be rich. Being rich was always something, and I want to be rich so I can help other people.
Live life to the fullest. Why people want to settle? You know what I'm saying? I never got that.
When did you switch?
So it's an interesting story, because Wolfson was a business magnet school. So I was there for business, and I was going to go.
I think that's when I first seen you.
Yeah. So I went to Wolfson for business. My mom had me when she was 15. Mm-hmm. So I was really raised by my great grandmother and my grandmother. And my mom's mom, my grandmother, she was just my world, man. I mean, that was my girl. So, and senior year in high school, she she had got off a cruise and she just wasn't feeling well. She went to the doctor, man, and we just found out she had stage 4 cancer. She was the linchpin for our family. She held us together. She really held the family together, and she was my girl. So long story short, man, I mean, a couple months before I was getting ready to graduate, she found out that she had cancer when she went to the hospital. 4 months later, she died. I mean, y'all, she was perfectly doing fine. I mean,
every time.
Every time. And it's crazy because, like, as soon as she found out, that's when her body began to deteriorate. So I began to go mentally, man. That thing took a toll on me.
Mm-hmm. I could see how it's too fast.
Yeah, man.
Ain't no
4
time
months.
To, like,
Grandma.
So long story short, you know, and I grew up in church. So long story, I said I'm gonna go to college for business, and man, I just kept feeling this. I kept thinking about it, and then so, you know, I'm just gonna.
Your heart wasn't there.
Right. I took a religion class, and I'm like, I just go ahead and do this. So I kind of switched from. I took like one business class, and then I just went ahead and just did the whole religion thing after I took that one class. So that's how that kind of started. So
speaking of your grandma, when you have tragedies happen in life or different things and people start blaming God, how you feel about that? When people blame God about deaths and hurricanes and national disasters.
All the right questions. I love it. I love it. There was a word. There's a word called Theodicy. Theodicy is the understanding, or it is the question to God: why does bad things happen to good people? So they literally have this area where you study theodicy of the whole situation. And my thing is what I tell people. And again, this is the dogmatic part of religion. If we say that God is so big, I mean, because if we look at the omnis of God, he's omnipotent, which means he's all powerful. He's got all power. He's omnipresent, which means he's everywhere at one time. He's omniscient. That word, you know, omniscient, the N word or the suffix there is science, which means omniscience. He's all knowing. So if God is all knowing, all powerful, everywhere at all time, if he's this big old God that created the universe, why can't he handle my question of why? Why are we afraid to take questions like why? And you know, they would tell me, oh, you can't question God. If he's so big, why can't I? Mm-hmm. If he's so, and again, it's always about how you do things in your spirit and things like that. So I tell people, this is my theological perspective on it. God is big enough to answer your questions why. I tell people, like, if somebody died in your family, you know, if something tragic happens to your family and the preacher gets up at a funeral, I hate this. God took him out. God did not cause your son to die in a drive-by. God ain't had nothing to do with that. I'm sorry. God ain't had nothing to do with that. God ain't had nothing to do with that.
I'm gonna quote a Bible verse.
Yes, sir.
Like this: the wages of sin is
right. That's
crazy.
Check it out.
Right.
See? So you saying like
my mom used to tell me that all the time.
Accountability of your own actions at the same time.
Yeah. And you got to be, and people have to understand that man, God can handle your questions. And so I in terms of, you know, me feeling like, you know, how is it in terms of us being able to communicate with God? Now, God has a perpetual or continual communication, you know. Yeah. God has a open door policy with us. Mm-hmm. He don't care how hard your question is, how hard your, you know. And so I don't believe it all the time. It is God's, you know, letting bad things happen to good people. I believe that because he instilled free will into the earth, that evil things are going to happen. Bible says, for, you know, Satan is a roaring lion seeking whom he can devour. Gotcha. So he's here. Mm-hmm. He's trying to, you know, make bad stuff happen.
Man, he's taking a lot of like the younger generation now. It's a lot. I had a question. I can't remember. I can't remember right now. Yeah.
What made you question your faith? Give me one time that really made you question your faith.
Great question. When my grandmother passed, I mean, man, I'm not a crier. Oh, somebody's blowing me up, but
somebody needs some saving.
You sick.
But my grandmother passed. That was hard. I don't cry much, man.
Yeah. But it hit you.
It hit me hard. But I'm coping with it. But another time is, and I mean this humbly, I'm a multi-gifted person. I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. So God has blessed me to preach. You know, that's first and foremost. Right now, I'm the vice principal for Christian private school here in Jacksonville.
What school?
TDH Christian Academy. Tiffany Darche Hollis. I don't know if you remember the story about the young lady. She was 16 in 2010. She got shot. She was driving around with her cousins, and she was they were just driving, like having innocent fun, and she passed. They were shooting, and the bullet went through the car and hit her.
Wow.
And she passed.
I'm pretty sure I heard about it.
Yeah. So the mom, she started a foundation out of that, and a K through 12 Christian academy out of that. Okay. Wow. So what I was saying is I would like to consider myself multifaceted, and talking about testing my faith. Sometimes I get to a place where I get discouraged in ministry because I feel as if, and other people see me and they're like, "Will, man, you done been to Africa preaching, you done been to Cuba, Colombia, you traveling, you traveling outside the state every now and then." But once you're in it, and there's times where I feel like I haven't been as effective, and I feel like, God, I'm so multi-talented. Can preaching just be a side thing and I do something else? Yeah. And that's been a test of my faith, man. And really, like, I feel like that. And like I said, I'm transparent. I tell people there are times where I feel like, for example, I sing. Yeah. And I joke, but I'm so serious. If God gave me a second life, promise I would be an R&B singer. I would be out here. Joe, Tim, Tank. Tank is one of my favorite, man. Tank. he makes some crazy music, but I swear, and literally, that's the.
Well, you about to hear the note, right? You about to hear the note right now.
That's the testing of my faith, because I'm like, and God be like, and every time I do it, so every time, like I got to preach tomorrow down in Haines City, and every time I stand up. And God, and I see people's lives change. I see the inspiration in people's eyes. I'm like,
that makes it worth it.
This is what I'm definitely called to do.
You ever got so deep into your preaching bag, like you starting to get hyped because you seeing a reaction from like the congregation? How that feel to you? Like
egging them on?
Yeah, like they feeding you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's euphoric. You have to be careful because
you don't want to do it naturally instead of being not spiritual.
Yeah, preaching is in our day and age. Preaching is a type of celebrity because of technology and social media. Mm-hmm. You can literally get thousands and thousands of shares and posts off preaching and become a national phenomenon. You have to be careful, but man, it is euphoric. You get caught up in the moment, and you have to keep the main thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why when I preach, I don't get so happy off my preaching. I get excited off of the response. So when I do the invitation to discipleship, when I say, okay, after the message, who wants to become a part of this family? Who wants to profess Jesus as? That's when I get happy. Because if I get happy, because I've been preaching since I was 13, so I know how to do it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I know how to make people feel good.
Like, y'all feeling it now, so come on.
Right. So I get happy off when I say, okay, this is the time. There's somebody here. You've been going through something in your life. And I want to tell you that I believe, I'm crazy enough to believe, that if you go through this thing with Jesus, it'll lighten the load. And when they accept Jesus and when they try to start, living that life, that's when I get excited.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and speaking of that, that's the question I was going back to. So how do you tell someone who, they come and accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior? What do you tell them is the next steps? People try to go home, read the whole Bible. That ain't gonna work.
I tried it.
So what do the steps that you give them to walk this faith, so they won't get too discouraged on it? Like when they first accept Jesus Christ, what do you like? What's the
Wonderful.
steps?
Well, the Bible says that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord, then you shall be saved. Which means that's how you get saved.
Right.
You get, and some people say, "What is this? What in the world am I getting saved from?" You know what I'm saying? What am I getting saved from? This is my belief. I don't, there is a life beyond this life. You know what I'm saying?
You're not talking about heaven and hell.
Uh-huh.
You're not talking about heaven and hell. You're talking about something totally different.
No, I'm talking
about heaven and hell.
Okay, I'm making sure. Okay.
Yeah, there is an eternal life beyond this life, and what I want people to understand is that, Jesus makes the difference in terms of of how you live your life, and there is a fruitfulness. So you're being saved from yourself. And when I say yourself, I'm not talking about your partying self, your clubbing self. There are some people who have these mental disturbance. Like, man, there's people out here every day. I have a friend that went to Cookman, and I'm coming around to your question.
Hey, okay, you good.
Who went to Cookman. Y'all, I talked to him. Well, we had his funeral about 2 months ago. This guy smiled every day. He was in the church. 3 weeks before it happened, the young man committed suicide.
Be like that.
And I'm smiling. And when you get saved, it's those burdens that you fight in private that people don't see in public.
Yeah.
That help you out every day.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's a solace. And I'm telling you, Doc, spirituality, Doc, it does something to you that you can. It's an inexplicable feeling. I can't even explain to you what my spirituality does for me. When I'm getting ready to do something that I know I ain't supposed to do, man, I feel a strong conviction. That's me being saved. See what I'm saying?
Wow, okay. I see. Yep.
If you want, I tell people all the time, whatever you do, don't lose your conviction. The moment you lose your conviction or your consciousness between what is right, you are the living dead. You are spiritually dead, but you're alive. You're walking around, but you're dead on the inside. You'll do anything. You'll say anything. You won't be able to produce anything. That's what being saved does. So as it relates to the process, again, the Bible says,
you broke that down, my boy.
If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord, then you shall be saved. So save ain't rolling, it ain't shouting. And that's why I say, y'all, this is what I think in the black church, we've got to, in a contemporary way, get people to understand theology and what the Bible is saying and not out of tradition. Because people used to tell me, oh, you got to call him. Come on, call him, baby. Call him. Come on, call. Yeah. That's not getting saved. Saved is when you say, Lord, I want you to come into my life. Because that's the confession. Mm-hmm. When you verbalize it. I believe that you are Lord and liberator, and now I want you to take precedence over my life. He says you got to confess with your mouth and believe in your heart. So with the same level that you've confessed it, you got to believe it in your heart. Then you're saved. Now the process. That's salvation. Now you have to move from salvation to sanctification. Sanctification is the process. So here it is. Once people get saved, they ask me what I do next. This is what I tell people. I tell them in front of the church. Mm-hmm. Do not be sending people to hell because they had sex after they got saved. Yeah. Do not tell people they're going to hell because they cussed like I did after you get saved.
Right.
Do not tell people because they steal after they got saved. They're going to. That's not right. Yeah. That's improper doctrine. That's improper theology. That's why Jesus died on the cross. In the Old Testament, every time somebody sinned, that's why they killed animals. Every time somebody sinned, what they would have to do, they would have to take a lamb. They would have to take a goat, a sheep, or a dove and kill it so that the blood would atone for the sin. So, because in the Old Testament, blood had to be shed for sin. Whenever somebody sinned, blood had to come from somewhere. When Jesus died on the cross and his blood was shed, Jesus said, don't kill nothing else. Every time you sin, I'm dying for this one time. This one time that I'm going to die, you ain't got to kill nothing. You ain't got to kill another turtle. Yeah. You ain't got to kill because this one time that I'm going to die on the cross, this is for every time you're going to sin after that. And it's for everybody in the world, for the ones who love me, for the ones who don't, for the ones who believe in me, for the ones who don't. That's what his blood did for us. That's what we believe as Christians. So then after you got salvation, you go through the sanctification process, which means daily, because of my conviction and my consciousness and my love for Christ, I'm being turned away from something. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to know Genesis to Revelation after you get saved the next day. You can sleep with a Bible under your pillow. I mean, you ain't gonna stop being real stuff. You ain't gonna stop being horny because you got saved on Sunday and the day Monday.
Yeah, I love it.
You gonna see a girl and you gonna be like,
that's it.
Yeah.
Did you see that, bro? But
that's not changing.
Being saved is not going to change you.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have an awareness of Jesus, and now that you've accepted Jesus, because y'all, and the thing I like, and the thing that makes me that I like about Christianity, he doesn't force himself on you. He lets you choose him. Ain't that like, think about that. Yeah. He died to give you a choice to accept him. Yeah. He said, I'm going to die knowing that you still may not choose to have me in your life. If I want a girl, or if I want something, and I'm going to die for it, I got to know for a fact that it's going to be mine.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But I'm not Jesus, so that's so you know. And that's why. So after salvation, to answer your point, you go through a process called sanctification. Sanctification is over a period of time, you begin to see changes in your life because you want to make Jesus proud, because you want to reciprocate, and you'll never be able to fully reciprocate what he did for you. So just saying, all right, God, so because you did this for me, and because I see you working in my life, because I see you doing stuff for me, I'm gonna do this. I used to drink every weekend, but now I'm gonna drink once a month.
And it's slow progression, pretty
much. Sanctification is the progress of process. How are you progressing through your life's process? That's what sanctification is. After you've accepted salvation, which is getting saved. And then there's glorification. Glorification is when, Jesus comes back and he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. Not that you were perfect, but every day you strive to live better than the day before. So that's how I would answer your question. So after somebody receives salvation, they will receive sanctification until the day of glorification.
I'm going to ask you something. Okay, so I know you're on your journey. So how do you deal with women? Because these women can be challenging. I'll say that. Take me through.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful.
It wasn't even talking about looks, just them in general.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But that too.
Because I know they press them. I know they press. I know they press.
Come on, bro. I see the muscle.
Yeah.
I know it. Come on.
No, man, but and it's crazy you say that, man, because one of my biggest fears. I'm a bachelor now. One of my biggest fears. I grew up in a single parent home. One of my biggest fears is being this successful person, preacher, helping everybody else, but dying lonely.
Yeah.
And remember what I talked about at the beginning of this conversation, y'all. This is a hard road to,
for sure,
being a preacher, man.
Fine line.
And but
everything you do is like under the light.
So right.
So one time, everybody just going
right. So I desire a wife, and I desire, and yeah, I like girls a lot. I like girls a lot.
We all do.
So how I handle it. I've made some mistakes in the past as it relates to women hope, just in general, and I just talking about one specific thing. In general, I've made some mistakes, and more so, I've been able to learn from that. And it was, again, my conviction and my manhood. I was raised by 3 women. My biological father and myself are just starting to, establish better camaraderie with each other and stuff like that. I didn't get my first male mentor until I got to Wolfson. I don't know if y'all remember Mr. Hunt.
Of course.
That's my adopted dad. That's who I call daddy.
Yeah, y'all was real close. I remember that.
Yo, that's my dad. That's my daddy. You see what I'm saying?
How's he doing?
That's my dad. He's good. He's real good.
That's good.
So, as it pertains to women, man, I've had to, and this is another thing about faith. In our faith, there's a practical aspect to faith, which means you can't spiritualize everything. Some things you have to really talk about, and manhood is one of those things. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I learned, especially as it relates to women. You got to be practical. If I'm in the, another transparent moment, if I'm in the heat of a moment with the girl, with a young lady, we kissing and stuff like that, I'm not going to start, if I start speaking in tongues, it ain't going to make me feel less of that moment than what you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a practical thing. So, don't even put yourself in the situation. You see what I'm saying?
You got to avoid it.
You just completely got to avoid it.
Yeah.
because that ain't gonna make you feel less how you feel. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So as it pertains to women, man, I'm careful. I'm cautious. I've learned a lot about myself. I was in a 3-year relationship about a year and a half ago. I was getting ready to propose.
Wow.
Beautiful young lady, man. Beautiful young lady. We went to college together. She was from Jacksonville. I made some mistakes, and y'all, this is the crazy part, and this is what I'm talking about, being practical in your faith. Mm-hmm. I was raised by women, so I don't disrespect women. I've never in my life called the woman a B word. Mm. Never in my life called the woman a hoe. Even if she was exemplifying those type of actions, I
like that you said
that. Yeah, even
he had to
yeah. Like I said, I'm real, man. Even if she was, and I tell my mentees that, I say, man, even if she is acting like that, call her out of that. Call her what she's not. You see what I'm saying? Wow. Call her by her name. Gotcha. Whatever her name. Bonquisha. Call her that. You know, I've never called the woman a H word. I've never even called the woman a slut. I've never. And it's not because their actions didn't exemplify that. I was just raised by women, and you know, I just and I say that to say that even though I never did those things, I've never hit a girl. Right. Mm-hmm. First of all, because my future, bro, ain't no girl boy for me going to jail. Yeah. That's just how I feel about it. You know, I'm just ain't no girl. I don't care how good you look, baby. I don't do good in jail. You know, I don't do good, and I'm not built for jail. I'm too little. Y'all see me, but come here. But even though I wasn't doing those things, I still wasn't being a good boyfriend. And I thought, because I dressed well,
you couldn't see it. Like, what am I doing wrong?
You see what I'm saying? And I thought just because, you know, I dressed well, I spoke well, I wasn't calling out a name, I was taking a hat. You know, I was.
You felt that when you said taking a hat.
Right. I get it. I was going across the country, but I had to understand that's not what being a man is about. You know, when I tell you that thing broke me, and now y'all, I'm in a place. If I wanted to be in a relationship today, I could be in one, and I mean that humbly. I don't mean that ostentatiously.
Your talk, man.
I could be in one, but I let every girl know. I say, this is where I am at a point in my life. This is what happened to me. Yeah, and I'm growing.
Manhood it's a lifelong journey. It's never an end to that.
I learn something new every day.
It's never an end.
Every day. Yeah. You learn something new every day in it.
You never.
When I'm at work.
Yes,
my
man.
mom. Like, yes. Every day, how I'm supposed to.
Y'all talking,
like he said, we all. Well, I know me and him, single mama.
So like,
my pops died when I was little. Yeah. So I had my brother, but my brother was young. He died, so he couldn't really teach me how to be, because he learning. So it was just, you know, you learn something new every day.
When you got the upbringing of like you missing something. Yeah. So like it's not already there, set in stone. You gotta learn it as you go. So you might be behind from a dude that had 2 parents. His pops was super involved in his life.
Yeah.
So it just ain't. You wake up one day, you got it all.
Yeah. Right. And I had uncles. You had uncles stuff, but they not here with you every day in the household. It's still different.
It makes a huge difference.
You seeing your mom, being mom and dad, but you can't learn nothing. Yeah. No. So I got it when you said you learn everything.
Keep you on the fine line.
Yep. And I think a part of manhood, like having that man around, is because even though I've always been, all guys are. I mean, you get to a point in your life, if we've been true, where you just heavily into women, doc.
Oh yeah.
And you gotta learn how to understand women.
For sure.
And I think we live in a different culture, because I think more now than any other generation, you know, you do have women who only want guys with, you know, certain level of this and a certain level of that. But man, there are girls out there who just genuinely want you to tell them, hey baby, you beautiful.
That's it.
I appreciate you, girl.
What's the crazy thing about, I believe it's more than that, than the narrative that they push in the mainstream.
Exactly.
It's just that narrative, but if you really don't pay attention to that and you're looking at other things,
exactly,
it's a lot of humble girls that just want conversation.
I'm telling you, man, I look back at that last relationship. I wouldn't get back in it. God knows I wouldn't. But we tried it the second time, you know, but
it never worked the second time.
Yeah, it never worked. It's never. But man, just simple stuff I could have done. You know, just told her, you know, baby, you're beautiful. You know, girl, let me take you out, girl. You know, just simple stuff like that.
I don't want to get that into it, but I guess we'll not listen to you. It wasn't you was good physically, but you weren't really there emotionally.
Yeah, emotionally. Because I didn't know how to be. I had never seen it done before.
Gotcha.
And you know, and
that ties into it.
Yeah, and like moments where you know she would just want to hug and the kiss. I was like, you know, not that I didn't.
I get it.
Not that I didn't want it. Because you know, I'm like, I want to do it, but like just
you
right
still
now.
locked off yourself.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, gotcha.
And man, that thing, that heartbreak.
In public too.
Yeah.
I see what
yeah. And man, that heartbreak opened me up. You ever seen a flower blossom? Man, that heartbreak did that to me, man. I had lost 7 pounds. I was on the couch. I mean, man, the dead.
I'm with you. I had my dog. I'm with you.
I was on the couch for a week, just sitting there.
You don't want to eat. You don't want to talk to nobody. I get it,
man.
I get it. I've been there before.
And I was thinking in my head, man, I should have did this. Man. I should just did that. Did
you ever see her get a replacement? Because that takes you to a different place when you see a replacement.
Actually, yes. And the thing is,
dirty back.
No,
dirty back. No dirty back.
No, but no, seriously. And the thing about me, y'all, I'm a pretty integral guy. So when I start thinking negatively, I call myself out of my own BS before anybody else do.
Got to.
When I'm jealous, when I'm envious, I call myself out on it first. Yeah. And it hurts more than when somebody else call me out.
And you need friends who gonna call you out too.
Yeah, you do.
That's important.
You do, man. And when I see and I'm okay with actually, y'all, 2 weeks ago, she just we were together 2 weeks ago. Because she's from Jacksonville, and like I said, it's been about a year and a half. And we were just, we were at a meeting. We were at a meeting together, and we're still really good friends. Okay. And she told me about this new preacher pastor friend that she has in Atlanta.
So
why they got? She like preachers.
She like y'all.
I want, because it may be somebody who see this video that know me and know that other person. Gotcha. So I don't want to go too deep. I'm staying on the surface. But I'm gonna say it like this: she has a type.
Okay.
She has a type. And I'm legitimately happy for it, because I'm over it. I want her to be happy, And I think that's another part of manhood.
Yeah.
Learning how to let go and let them be. I'm happy for it.
That's like a very hard one to like get to. Where you're just happy for them, even if it's not with you.
Right. And y'all, I'm so happy. And I don't mean that, just because I'm saying that, I want her to succeed. Right. Whether it's with whatever she got going on. And that's what it takes. And again, that's how it is in our faith as well.
Yeah.
So that's how it is.
Well, letting go is.
It was hard, y'all.
I know it's hard. Yeah.
When I tell you,
invested.
3 years. You don't want to feel like you wasted all 3 years.
Y'all, the way that it happened, bro. Oh my goodness!
Told you up.
I'll probably tell y'all off camera. I can't. We can't talk about it.
Don't do it.
But it was crazy.
We want you still happy. We don't want you to get
right.
Because you might dwell on it later. It always hit later.
No, trust me, brother. When I say that ship has sailed,
okay,
it's gone.
Okay,
it's gone. There's no regurgitated feel. And I don't say that from a facetious perspective.
Right.
We've had enough talks. Post even the second breakup. Post that.
Understand.
We've had enough talks. We've both had enough time to heal. Trust me when I say she still as beautiful as she is, I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. And she wouldn't.
Our time was we had our time, it didn't work out. Cool, you move on.
Exactly. And that's life. It happens.
Life,
As a man, like y'all said it so good. As a man, you gotta be able to just accept that and just
a lot of people think they get a boyfriend, girlfriend, that's it. We gonna be together forever, and sad news, most of the time you're not.
Yep.
So
you probably like 4 girlfriends away.
Yeah. Right.
I would. He right.
And for each girl, you might spend at least a year. At least a year.
You giving up something each time.
Every time.
You draining yourself.
And that's why I'm hesitant and reluctant to immediately jump into another relationship. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I can, but I let them know. But I've
got to a point. It's like I like working. Not what I do, just what we do and everything. So I'm in a position where it's like I had a relationship also a couple months ago, I'm not in a position because you got so much you want to accomplish and you don't want the emotional ties to kind of feel like weighing you down. Are you in that space when you going across the world preaching and
that's true?
Like
I was actually gonna bring that up. That's another thing.
Okay.
You know, that's another thing. Like
That was the problem.
no, that wasn't the problem.
Okay.
Off camera.
Yeah. No, that wasn't the
I
problem.
was talking about like
okay.
going off and preaching.
Okay.
Yeah. No, because I was taking it with me sometime. So
You the man.
Sacrifices.
You the
They got
man.
to sacrifice. If you want to accomplish what you want to really get to in life,
that's true.
it's sacrifice. That's one thing I learned about manhood too. You got to sacrifice.
And I was going to say it's a two-way street because not only should they have to sacrifice for you, but you should have to sacrifice for them. Man, at this point, man, I want a super bad sister. I want a sister to where I can show up, and I'm not talking about a literal cheerleader suit. I can come in my cheerleader clothes and be like, "Girl, you doing the dang thing, girl."
Yeah.
That's my baby there, y'all. Y'all see her? Y'all see that fine girl right there?
You can hype him up good. You a
telling
preacher
you
too,
that.
so I know you.
So that's what I want at this point in my life. I don't want nobody that I just dragging along. You know, when that time do come, I want it to be, man, you see him, but you see his wife too. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to be one of those type of situations. Mm-hmm. That's what I want.
That makes sense.
You know, man.
Don't look at me, look at my wife. I'm with you.
So I'm taking it slow because y'all hopefully hopefully this last one is gonna be right. I don't know. I gotta do something, and I don't think I'm really investing. Like you said, I'm not really. Like, literally, I'm going every weekend. Every weekend I'm not in Jacksonville, and even throughout the week, like I'm out. So even my job, like with because I was a teacher last year. And I kind of had to slow my schedule down because I was teaching. Yeah. Because I was out of the state and out of the city a lot, even during the week. So, and ministry is my primary thing, but I'm also into education. So I want to do higher ed. I'm also into music. So I got a lot of stuff that I want to do. So I'm trying to plant seeds for my future now.
You want to do like an album?
Probably. I thought about it.
Okay.
I have a friend. He's doing an album. He's doing a gospel album,
right?
And I'm singing one of the songs on it.
Did you do like an EP? Test the waters out. Do a little 5-song EP?
But I'm not a writer, man. I need a writer.
You vocals. Ready for vocals.
Yeah. I'm not a writer.
So how did you transition to cutting your hair out completely? Because that's another transition.
Yeah. So what happened was, man, really, my daddy bald, and I think he gave it to me. He's going bald, and my daddy is my biological father. Dad has to be about 38, 39, 39. Dad, he just going to cut up. See, he's still holding on to his.
You're that 38, 39? How old you, Will?
I just turned 24 last Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
Happy
it.
birthday.
So, my mom was 15. My dad was 16.
Okay.
When they had me. So, man, I was in college. I was the president of this organization in college. We were doing a photo shoot. We was getting to having an event on campus. So me and the young lady that I was with, she was a part of my organization. I had some friends. We taking the photo shoot. And I had just got a haircut that day, looking good. I was like, I got to get right for the photo shoot. Rome, man, I wake up the next morning and they sent me the pictures. I said, is that a spot in my head?
No.
I'm like, am I going? Because it wasn't as bald, but I saw it. Like you could see it because of the camera.
I was
so
going to
good.
say, because in high school, your hairline was fine. Your
Yeah.
hair was good. You
Yeah. I mean, I had waves and everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like, damn.
And so it was a part of the journey. Like it was another thing. Like, stop trying to fix. And I'm a man, doc. I don't believe in putting all this cosmetic stuff in my hair, trying to get they got this
Let
new.
it go.
And I'm not judging nobody who do it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Putting Beijing.
And to be honest, it's working for me. Bro. I like it now. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just waiting my beard to get like yours. That's what I'm waiting for. I just wait to get all this right here connected.
I need to go barbershop. But honestly, I mean, when I get older, I wouldn't mind going bald too.
No,
not right now though.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do
you don't
it.
like going bald?
No, I love it. Like if I had the option at this point to, get my hair back, I really like it, y'all. Like
it'll really enhance.
Right.
I get it.
I like it. I like being bald right now. But if you would have asked me like 6 months ago if I would have preferred my hair.
Gotcha.
If I had my hair, I would have kept it.
Gotcha.
But at this point, let's just keep it how it is.
You just accept it, like, okay.
Yeah.
Take it off.
You ain't got to worry about brushing.
I mean, I really like it. And then I've been doing stuff, trying to get this to come in. I've been trying new stuff, new beard oils and stuff like that. So,
How do you feel about like Hebrew Israelites?
Good. I will ask that too. Good question.
To be honest,
my bad. Let me ask the second question. That damn, I just had it in my head. Who are the real Jews to you?
Okay. To be honest, in history, there's a guy named Pastor Eric Mason. Man, he just did an amazing study. I'm not as astute and abreast to the Hebrew Israelite movement as I should be. My uncle is one. And man, I've been trying to have some conversations with him. And I'm not as astute as I should be, brushing up on that whole movement, of the Hebrew Israelites. But to answer the latter part of your question, who do I believe the real Jews were? And even in preaching, this makes for good tension. Because once you think about the history of African American people, Doc, it resembles so much the history of the Jewish people in the Bible.
The writing on the wall.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It resembles so much. But like I said, I'm very careful and cautious to talk about stuff that I haven't done an adequate research on.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? So, maybe, if y'all decide to have me back a couple months from now, then I'll be able to give more redress to that, to those questions.
Pull up, man. You're welcome to pull up.
Yeah, more redress to those questions. But I'm not as abreast about it. I've actually, and that's really crazy because I'm starting to study on that with this guy named Pastor Eric Mason. He has material that I'm going to buy and start, brushing up, because y'all know I recently just started knowing what the Hebrew Israelite, because I know about a lot of religions and all of groups and stuff like that. I heard about a lot of them.
Yeah, they
but just 6 months ago,
they just shot straight up.
Yeah, man, just 6 months ago, I really started to see that people was taking that serious.
Yeah, that's my brother into it very heavily.
Into it.
So yeah,
man,
they take it very serious.
And another thing about me is that I wish more people, and again, because I hate talking about myself. And I say this because I'm not a real arrogant person. I'm not egomaniacal. I'm not ostentatious. So I don't want to seem like I'm trying to say that I'm all of this. I'm not. It's just for the sake of conversation.
Right.
Because I know I got flaws. I know. I'm surprised these lights ain't exposing.
He's not exposing.
But there's a point, there's something in me, man, where I have such a high tolerance and I'm so confident and saturated in who I am, in terms of my faith, that, man, I got friends, and I'm talking about friends who believe in all kind of stuff. I've literally traveled, and he's talking about like people, if one of their family members were to pass today or tomorrow, I'm going to where, and their funeral ain't gonna look like ours. It's gonna be some crazy stuff, I don't want to say crazy, but it's gonna be something
that you're not used to,
that I'm not used to.
The norm.
As a matter of fact, in college I have a friend. He's like Roman Catholic. And a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between Catholicism and Roman Catholicism. The word Catholic means universal church. So before you had all of these different splits in the church, there was one church, which was the Catholic Church. Catholic meaning the universal church. But we talk about the Roman Catholic Church. That's when you go over to Europe and you talk about the Vatican and the Pope. That's the Roman Catholic Church, where their biblical canon, our Bible is 66 books. Their biblical canon is 73 books, because it includes the Apocrypha, which is the hidden writings, okay, or the hidden writings. That word Apocrypha means. But I have a friend that's Roman Catholic, and see, I took my first communion when I was a kid. I was baptized. I was a kid. I took communion. Yeah. In the Roman Catholic Church, you have to go through this extenuating process to take your first communion. So, and me and this dude, he's from Belize, not a black guy. We're like this in college. I actually just saw him last week when I was in Daytona. And he's like, Will, man, I want you to come out too. He comes to church to hear me preach. Even though it's not, particularly what he believes, he stayed with me for one spring break. And I had that joke in church every day.
Jesus Christ.
Every day. And so, because it was a revival going on. And so he's like, man, I want you to come to my first communion. And y'all, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. It was something new. They was wearing all of these garments, and it was just interesting. And I say that to say,
where did it happen at?
It was in Daytona.
Okay,
it was like a thing called Lady of Our Lord's Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. And the priest was real laid back. He had on flip flops. I mean, give that communion. And I say that to say is that sometimes we can be so reductionistic in other people's perspectives and point of views that we don't even give them a chance to, hear them out. And it's like, if you're a Christian, if you believe what you say, why you let somebody,
right?
If you're an atheist, I'm not afraid to sit down and have a conversation with an atheist, because as long as you have good morals, then we good.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? And sometimes people have the tendency to be like, oh, I heard about this, and they like to tear down other people. I don't tear down nobody of the faith group. If you're a Buddhist, I want you to be a Buddhist to your fullest advantage. And what I like about other religions, man, is that they live it.
Yeah,
Christians,
that's what
we want to preach to you, but your life has to be a sermon. Your life has to be the thing that says, "Oh, he different, or she different," and not that they stuck up different, but they just true to what they about.
I believe it.
You see what I'm saying? And so I'm not reductionistic, and I said all of that to say is that when it comes to Hebrew Israelites, I think a lot of the Christians have already cut them off. Now, I'm not saying you got to accept it, but just for the sake of conversation and understanding them, y'all, we're living in a time and a generation where pluralism is at its zenith or at its peak. I mean, in your workplace, you can have 5 different black people that work with you on the same floor doing the same thing at your job, but all of y'all different religions.
It's true.
And that's the day and age we live in.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you're going to build community, culture, camaraderie, you got to know what they believe to, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To kind of, to be cool with them, to know, what's cool and what's not cool. And that's how my friendships have worked. I'm invested into other people's life. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And I want to show them that, yes, I'm a Christian, and I want to exemplify or exude the love of Christ, even though we don't believe in the same thing. So I want to live this thing out. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's what we need to do more in the Christian community and all religious communities. We need to be more tolerant, have more of a tolerance for people who don't believe in the same thing as you.
So I got a question. So you got there's a lot of crime around the city. A lot of gun violence and different things like that. So did you ever think about what church you preach at on?
So man, right now I'm in a complicated situation. And I'll let you finish your question. So right now I'm youth pastoring. I'm a interim youth pastor in Palm Coast, Florida. That's what I say. On every weekend I'm basically out of Jacksonville, unless I have to preach here on one of the Sundays I'm off. First, fourth, and fifth Sundays, I'm usually preaching out of the state or out of the city.
Gotcha.
So I'm youth pastoring, and I'm also a campus director for a church in Palm Coast. That service starts at 8:30. So after that service starts, then I go to my youth church, which starts at 11 o'clock, and then I have youth church over there. We have our separate facility, our own facility. But that church, y'all, I've been doing some work. It's a very traditional church.
Okay.
And I'm really trying to put in some work there. So that's basically how my schedule is.
So I was gonna say, you just thought about cause you live on the north side, right?
Yeah.
So the
I live
northwest,
like literally 5 minutes away from me.
Okay. So like the northwest area. You have thought about probably, not saying because you're a preacher you have to do this, but I'm just saying in general, I guess, do something for the gun violence that's going on, or like get involved in a positive way. You have thought about that? Or
man, I have so many ambitions, so many things that I want to do.
Yeah. But
me, I'm a full-fledged goer. And what I mean by, I just made that term up. But what I mean by that means once I'm in it, I'm in it.
Yeah.
I don't like to halfway nothing. I have to be very meticulous. I already have a huge schedule. And like I said, I mentor a lot of young men. I'm coming up with for our school a young mentoring program called Bridging the Gap to Success. We're bridging the gap from malehood to manhood. So teaching young men how to become man, teaching young men how to become, men.
Yeah.
And what does it mean as opposed to just you being a man physiologically? How do you exemplify the actions of a man? So that, on being a vice principal and being a youth pastor and a campus director and traveling, there's a lot on my plate. But I have to make a crucial decision. I don't know if I'm staying in Jacksonville.
Gotcha.
I want to. I've been offered an opportunity here. And if I take this opportunity, then I'll be able to take root. Plant some roots here in the city. And I love Jacksonville. I have nothing against it. It's just where my path has led me.
Gotcha.
And some of the opportunities that it's led me to. Eventually, when it's all said and done, when I'm ready to settle down to one church and in one place and pastor there long term, I think it's going to be in Florida. I think it's going to, because I like Florida, either Florida or LA. Wherever the sun at, that's where I'm at.
Gotcha.
That's where I want to be. So to answer your question, I really have, man. There's a lot I've thought about. I have some other young friends. I have another friend. He's from Orlando, and he married one of the well-known pastor's daughter here in the city. And he's moved here, and he and I have been trying to collaborate on a couple of things. Projects. But it's hard when you don't know if you're going to be there, and it's hard trying to start something.
And not be able to
and it's infinite. I'm talking in its infancy stages, and try to leave it with somebody else who don't really understand the vision. So I have, man. There's a lot I want to do. Okay. Oh, and plus I forgot to mention that I work at the gym part time too.
God, I was just gonna ask him, when does he have downtime? Because I see him at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did that.
How was health? How was important health is for people working at, like, health, eating right, and
health.
That's another mental
wealth
thing too.
And when people say health is wealth, I'm not just talking about palpable or tangible money. Health, you won't be able to make a dime if you're not healthy. You won't be able to get to a place in your life where you can find a situation that'll give you full-time benefits. Because you got to work to that. That's a status that you have to work to. You know what I'm saying? Even on your job, when you think about coming in on entry level, if you always sick because you out of shape and you ain't, and you got to keep missing days, you're never going to get to that place where you can get a promotion to be stable, to get those benefits.
And it slows you down.
And it slows you down tremendously.
It does.
So for me, man, in high school, that's when I started working out. I was in ROTC, and I was just so skinny, and I wanted to start working out. Yeah. And in college, I started taking it more seriously, and I'm into it now, man. Okay. Now, what I'm not into is eating. I still need to balance out my eating. I eat filthy.
I do the same thing.
I mean, bro, I'm addicted to working out. That's one of my top hobbies. Like, I can work out for 2.5 hours straight in the gym and not even know it.
Wow.
That I'm in there that long. But when I leave there, I'm gonna eat whatever I want to eat. You don't tell me what I can and can't eat. But the reason why I work out is my family, on my mom's side in particular, we've been stricken with diabetes. I mean, like, all of my, like, first uncles, like my mom's brothers, either they have, like, heart disease, diabetes. My uncle is 37, and he's already had a stroke.
Wow.
So that's why I work out.
He's young still.
He's still young. Yeah. So that's why I work out. And my mom, she has to get her cholesterol under control, but she's doing good. My great grandmother, she had diabetes terminally, which was ultimately the end of her. Yeah. So y'all, when I say so at this point, for me, it's kind of a lifestyle. I'm gonna live, right? Because I got some stuff to do.
Right. I agree.
And it's fun to me.
Yeah, it's definitely fun once you get in that habit.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, Ron. I seen you coming out the gym the other day. Yeah. Man, you was kind of. I said, we got to, man, we need to get a session in one time.
We're going to get in there, man. We're going to get in there.
Get a session in.
Do you still listen to secular music?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And it's a twofold purpose.
Okay.
Again, One, because I like it.
Yeah.
Music
is music.
Music makes the world go round, man. It makes the world go round. Like I said, in my second life, I would really be an R&B singer, y'all. If I didn't feel I mean, I love music.
Right.
I love music, man. I don't listen to rap that much. It's not what I'm into.
Right. R&B.
Not because now there's some rap songs I like, but I'm more of an R&B.
Who are some of your favorites?
Man, I can go John Legend. Tank. I know this is gonna be kind of controversial, but y'all pray for me. R. Kelly.
Go ahead and say it.
Come on,
right. He goes, dog.
What you want him to do?
R. Kelly. I mean, the dude is good. I'm not talking about what he did, but as far as the quality of his music, dog. Chris Brown doing it, bro. Yeah. Jay-Z, Kanye. Chance the Rapper is my all-time favorite.
Really?
For the obvious reasons.
You gotcha.
Chance is in. I mean, Chance. Every time he gets a chance to talk about God, man, he does. And I think that's how my career would kind of be.
Okay.
Even though I wouldn't go into like a gospel career, I would still pay homage to my faith, man. And Chance is definitely one of my favorite. I could keep going on,
I got a question, another one.
Yeah.
You gotta knock somebody out just because they trying you. You gotta show niggas like, hey, just because I'm really deep in my faith, don't try me. You ever had anybody like try you because of your faith?
Yeah, man, I'm from the hood, man.
Okay.
Listen,
you gotta throw that out there.
Listen, and I say that one of my gifts, I believe one of my gifts, I'm balanced. Mm-hmm. When I get up and preach, I can speak correctly. I can do all of that. But when it's just us, I'm gonna be real now. Right. And that's why I say it's an isolated journey, because not everybody could handle your humanity along with the mantle that rests on your life. Everybody can't handle that part of you, man. They can't. And that's what makes it so. I have 3 friends. We have to alternate, and all of them are almost like married and they got kids, and I'm the only one still, riding solo. So we have to alternate because those are the only people I really hang out with. You know what I'm saying? Everybody cannot handle it. And I said, man, I'm balanced. When I ain't got to be, because I'm at church a lot, y'all, and I get tired of church sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
But
it be like that.
But because of I'm driven by my passion, and yes, the church does support me financially. Yes, they do. As much as I do for the church, I'm supported really, really well by the church.
Talk to 'em.
I say this, man, I'm balanced. Mm. I drink wine. Every now and then, even when I'm out with other pastors and stuff, and see, because people don't know the Bible, they think it's a sin. They think it's wrong. The Bible says, be not given too much wine.
To get drunk.
Jesus turned water into wine. They was basically at a wedding turn up, and they said, Jesus, we ran out of turnip juice. Come on, you gonna make some more?
I got y'all.
So now, being intoxicated to the point where it causes you to do other stuff is obviously where the fault is at. That's where the fault is at. Yeah. Okay, but I'm balanced, man, and I tell people, and I don't say that to get friends, because some people I don't even want to be friends with. Some people I don't even want to show my balanced self to, because they can't handle it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I knew you was balanced, because I be talking crazy on Facebook. I say crazy stuff all day on there, and he just was laughing. I was like, look at him, man. I start laughing if I see him laughing.
Man, you be having me rolling, man, rolling. So yeah, man. I mean, but people don't try me for the most part, because I come off real cool, but I have had people try me, and I was like, all right, bro,
yeah,
calm down, man.
Yeah, strong arm,
yeah, because I'm really from the hood, and it's crazy because growing up, I used to be singing and preaching and stuff like that, and my childhood friends, mm-hmm. I would be on the corner with them, I would never, but they used to be selling drugs and stuff. Like, man, you gonna have to go with all that singing, man. You gonna mess us up with our clientele. You gonna, yeah. So I really know people in the streets. I have some of my best friends, man, are not churchy at all.
Correct.
but they believe in me. They know
they respect you when you come around.
Me.
Yep.
You know, anytime I invite them to church house, you know, they clean themselves up and come right on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they feel something. They feel something from the moment because they know the authenticity and the genuineness that I have and the passion for what I do and the drive for what I do. But yeah, man. So I'm real balanced.
We gotta come catch you in the sermon.
I'll let y'all know, man. I got a couple of stuff coming up. So I just gotta balance it. Balance my schedule. That's my biggest challenge right now. Learning how to say no to some stuff.
I'm with you with that one too. Yeah. Like you want to do this, but like you don't want to spread yourself too thin.
And I thought that because I was single and had no kids, you know, it's still tough. You still got to say no to some stuff.
You still got to, mom. You still got family time, mom. I still got my grandma, so you do so much and you forget. I need to chill and relax and talk to them and see how they doing. And
definitely.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Any message?
Yeah, man. I want to tell people. I want to tell people first of all. I want to give out a couple of resources. There's a pastor who is radically transforming the way I think about ministry, the way I think about this millennial generation, because I believe that God has meticulously called me to this generation. And one of my biggest challenges has been, William, get out of yourself and get out of your tradition and really help people, man. Not only come to Christ, how can I help somebody? But there is a pastor, y'all. Look him up. His name is Darius Daniels, Dahrius, Darius, and last name Daniels. He has a campus in Ewing, New Jersey, and he also has a campus down in Orlando and a campus in LA. You may not visit none of the campus. I'm just letting you know a little bit about him. But you can find him on YouTube. If you type his name in, he'll come right up. And I'm studying this guy. He's preaching a series right now. Guys, if y'all can look at it, just look at one clip. Okay. It'll change your life. It's about 45 minutes. He's preaching a series in his church called, this is the name of the series, I Quit Church. And the whole series is about why people quit church. What have people in the church done to make church unattractive to people who usually wouldn't come? And how can we fix it? And there are a lot of people, and I say that because there are some people who have been turned off by some things. And as a matter of fact, there may be some things that I've done that turn some people off, about the ministry, because there are some mistakes that I've made in my life. And I want to let people know that the church is not a place for perfect people. Because if the church was a place for perfect people, it would be a museum. It's not a museum.
That's a good one.
It's more like a hospital. It's where people who need to be healed, who need to be delivered, who need to be raised. And I'm not just talking about from spirituality, but holistically, mentally, physically, health, that what we were just talking about. The church is the epicenter for that place. It's to make you whole and well. And the thing is, you have to find the right one for you. You can look me up on social media. My social media, all of them, I have everything. I even have Twitter. I'm not as active on Twitter, but IG, Facebook. You can find me at William Robinson, spelled the regular way. I think for IG, my handle is WilliamBR_3. For Snapchat, my handle is also WilliamBR3. And if anybody, wants to reach out to me, talk to me about anything, man, I'm real cool. You don't have to worry about your, business being, plastered all over social media. And again, y'all, this is what I do. I'm serious about it. I love it, and I love people. So I want everybody to be encouraged. We live in perilous times. Crazy stuff is going on in the government, going on, in people's families. Perilous times are going on, and you need something to ground you, to level you out, because people are literally losing their minds, man, every day. Committing suicide. We live in a suicide-prone society, and so I want everybody to be encouraged and know that no matter what faith you are, no matter what you didn't do, no matter whose standards you didn't live up to, no matter what people said you were or you weren't, I love you. And I'm not saying it because I want anything from you. And I think a lot of people just need to be told that they're loved just for being them. Definitely. You see what I'm saying? Definitely. With all your flaws, who tells you love you?
Accepting you as you are.
You see what I'm saying? love. I love. I don't even know you, and I love all y'all, and I mean that. So I really want y'all to be encouraged. And is it all right if I say a quick prayer on here?
You good? Good.
Let's say a quick prayer. God, we thank you for your love and your kindness. We thank you for this time of transparency and authenticity. God, I thank you that you so big, God, that like I ain't got to come before you quoting hymns and quoting scripture. You're just that big that you understand the intent of our heart. You understand the matter of our heart. And God, there are people that may be listening, that may be watching, God, even people that may see this later, God, even if it's just us three in this room right now, I'm fine with that. God, there are people who are hurting, need to be uplifted, God, needs to be transformed in every area of their life. God, there's somebody right now who's going through mental discrepancies. There's somebody, God, whose spirit is downtrodden. God, touch me. You know how I'm feeling in this season, God. You know where, I feel insecure and where I need to be uplifted in this season. God, do that for me so that I can continue to spread your message of love, hope, peace, prosperity, healing, and conviction, as well as everything else. I appreciate you for this time, God. I appreciate you for these two young men, God. Blow on their business. God, I pray if they continue to just align themselves with moral and ethical rightness, as long as they want to do the right thing for right people, God, touch them. And God, continue to give them the fruits of their labor. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank y'all so much for having me, man. I enjoyed this time.
We're gonna
I appreciate this time.
Open Road out. My album out right now. Go ahead and get it everywhere.
Merch on the way.
Playlist. July playlist next Saturday. Created by Akama G. She created it. So
we'll see y'all next week.
All right. And y'all let me know how I can support it anyway.